We were standing just inside the front door and met this droplet of water traveling horizontally. It passed between us and just traveled out into the next room. I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Welcome, everyone, to Strangeful Things, where we tell you shit you might not already know about. That's pretty succinct. And I think this week definitely falls into that category. See how I accented the word falls? That's foreshadowing.
Clever.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing, folks. That's a literary technique. Anyway, I'm here with Mells and Shooey.
No,
That's right.
Ahead.
Yeah, I'm here with Mells and Shooey, and I don't know what I would do without them. I really don't. Probably have a fulfilling life. But how goes it, guys? How did Halloween go?
Halloween was good. We just walked around and got some of the pre-packaged goodies that were all, out. It was very COVID safe with our masks. And so, yeah, I'd have to say that Wildcat was able to get a couple of treats, even though he doesn't like chocolate. So he was very disappointed when it was a majority of like Kit Kats and Butterfingers.
Well, that's the most troubling aspect of the child.
Yeah, that's poor. That poor boy.
Oh, man.
How did you?
My Halloween was boring as shit. It was on a Saturday, so we figured we know COVID's going on, but nobody seems to give a fuck near us. So we'll have kids. So I had like 150 bars, and we got like 15 freaking kids.
Oh, man.
Like at the end of the night, we were like, take 3, take 4 piece, just take
it all. Dump it all.
Yeah.
Well,
it was boring as crap.
Well, ours was pretty good. We probably got 20, 25 kids altogether, I think.
But you had that really cool contraption.
Yes, my baby carriage of take the candy from the baby. And apparently the neighbors said that when people came to their doors, they're like, oh, did you see what they had across the street? So I guess we must have made a good impression.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of good. And we watched Books of Blood on Hulu, and it was not good at all.
Ooh.
So don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Oh,
there's your movie
next
minute.
On my list. That was next on my fucking list.
Well, now you
just
can take it right
me,
off.
Man. You just
saved you. That's the kind of guy I am.
Hero.
I'm helpful as shit.
I don't throw the H word around, but you're it, man.
That's right, man. All right. In 2001, Mrs. Acadia and I moved from Boca Raton, Florida to Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Technically, it was East Stroudsburg, but I'm not sure how some place as small as fucking Stroudsburg gets to have an east portion of it, because it's just tiny. It's the county seat of Monroe County, and it's the heart of the Poconos, which is the region containing the Pocono Mountains. You might have heard of the Delaware Water Gap before. Well, that's a Stroudsburg thing.
Wait, what the hell's a water gap?
It's literally a gap in the mountains that was made by water. They're very literal.
Okay.
It was the Delaware River, to be exact. If you look up pictures of it, it is super pretty. There's a national park and 27 miles of the Appalachian Trail and blah and shit like that. But it's not enough of an attraction to make Stroudsburg big. There's a little over 5,500 people in the town, and it's the kind of place that you want to visit, like, in the fall.
I like when our show's educational.
Yeah.
See? I do what I can. They also have a very lovely garlic festival in the fall.
Ooh.
That you simply must go to.
Must.
I love garlic. Yummy.
Yeah, see? Because it's also the kind of place that sits almost exactly between Philly and New York. And what have we learned about little towns that are halfway between big towns?
Well, if it's anything like Jennings, Louisiana, it's a drug town.
Exactly. Not that poor little Stroudsburg is wall-to-wall druggies, but it definitely has its share of skids. And one of those skids is the subject of our story tonight. See how I segued us right in there?
Yeah, I did like that one, Acadia.
Yeah, see.
Aw. Oh, look at everybody getting along. Must have been good feelings the Frankenstein story created.
Hey, I did like that story. And honestly, I'm just in a great mood. So don't ruin it with a bunch of gross murders, Acadia, okay?
I don't have any murders in this story, not one.
Oh,
I'm not saying it's a lovely story, but nobody dies.
I'll take that.
Yeah, me too, I guess. So, who was our skid of the week?
His name is Don Decker, and he was born in 1962 or 1963. I didn't find anything saying it specifically, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he was born in Stroudsburg. He seems like the kind of person who doesn't travel a lot. I could be wrong, though, so if somebody wants to Alexander Bitchcoff us and send an email to strangefulthings@gmail.com telling me how wrong I am about Donnie Boy, please do. Anyway,
he was actually born in East Stroudsburg.
Yeah, exactly. The story takes place in 1983 when Don was 21. He was in jail in Monroe County for receiving stolen goods, which I think should not be a crime. Unless you can prove that the person knew the stuff was stolen. Like, I buy and sell stuff off OfferUp all the time, so I think stuff like that should be exempt.
Oh my God. Why don't you just post an ad on Craigslist asking to be murdered, Acadia?
I did.
Like he hasn't.
I did go to a person's storage unit once. That was a little sketchy.
Crying out loud. What?
Yes, I was buying some Halloween stuff, and she was like, "It's in my storage unit." So I had to follow her to it.
And he's like, "Hold on while I put these gloves on."
And my stomach open and stole my
grab
baby.
this hatchet.
Don't worry about that big barrel over in the corner.
Yeah,
don't worry about that. Would you mind climbing in that? I just want to see if you could fit. I do this with everybody, I swear.
I want to know the circumference.
Hey, would you mind writing a letter saying you're in France?
Please sign all these blank pieces of paper.
Good tie-in there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I made it an old woman.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Which was not inaccurate. Now, usually the handoffs are made in public places, so that's how I kept it, above board. But apparently for Don, he got some hot parachute pants and got thrown in the clink.
Oh, no.
No.
Not the hammer pants.
Yeah. Our story starts on February 24th, 1983, with Don not being in jail, because he was let out on furlough to attend the funeral of his grandfather, James Keesaw, who died of the always charming cirrhosis of the liver.
Oh.
That makes me feel like...
Tug-a-lug.
Yes, since they let him out, it makes me feel like it must not have been a very serious crime, or it was a very Barney Fife kind of jail, like one or the other. At any rate, he was free to go home to attend the service and spend a few days with his family before he had to report back to jail. Thing is, Don Decker had a very different view of the funeral than everyone else did. For Don, the funeral was a relief because, according to him, his grandfather had been sexually abusing him since he was 7 years old.
A molesting story?
I said no murders. Nobody said anything about molesting. You guys need to be way more specific.
Well, hey, I have a long and very specific list of demands
Very
I would like to air at the next board meeting.
The airing of grievances.
We can barely keep our shit in a sock long enough to record the show, so I don't anticipate the next board meeting happening anytime soon. So you keep that list growing there, Mells.
Yeah, well, I just added to it. Need more timely board meetings, too.
Don Decker had a list that began and ended with fewer molesty grandfathers, and he checked that fucker off on the day of the funeral. But as we're going to see, things get very bananas from there. So before we get there, do you guys think that accumulated stress can have effects that would be considered supernatural?
Like,
Well, what do you mean?
I have no.
I tell you a good example of accumulated stress that had supernatural powers behind it, and that was the Stephen King novel of Carrie.
See? Except that
her mother was very stressful to her, and even though she did have the powers, I mean, a lot of the supernatural stuff really started coming out once she realized what a monster her mother was.
Yeah, she did get kind of triggered, didn't she?
Yeah.
Well, that was a good fake example.
Well, you know, I can tie everything into Stephen King.
Yeah, I can't think of a real life one.
Well, all right then. So I guess we wouldn't think that accumulated stress can have any effects that would be considered supernatural. Like,
well, I can't. Can you think of one? Like, is there like one that we should be thinking of?
I don't know. You get so freaked out that you make a picture fall off the wall or some shit like that. I don't know.
No, that's never happened to me. So.
Well, see, that's different because I have the Force, so it's a totally different thing. It has.
I don't really think of that.
That was a good one, Shooey.
Thanks, Mells.
I liked it.
All right. After the service,
Donnie D.
After the service, Don went to stay with some family friends. I'm not sure why he didn't stay with the actual family. Maybe they were all molesting him, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter.
Oh.
He stayed with Bob and Jeannie Kiefer in town, and that's when the roof caved in. I mean, not literally, but it's when the story really picks up some steam. According to the Pocono Record, Decker said he was in the upstairs bathroom washing up for supper when suddenly he felt strange and confused. He fell to the floor and had a vision of an old man wearing a crown in a window. Decker also had deep scratches that suddenly appeared on his wrist. Kiefer noticed the blood when Decker sat down to eat and asked what happened. Decker told him about his vision and attributed the wound to Satan. That seems kind of nonchalant dinner conversation. Hey, what you got there on your wrist there? I don't know. It just feels like that would be ripe for follow-up questions. If you just said, oh, yeah, no, I got this. What happened to your wrist, Don? Satan. Oh, okay.
Satan.
Oh, pass the potatoes.
I didn't realize he was in our water closet, but okay. So now later that night, according to reports, Don was sitting in the living room of the Kiefer's apartment thinking about the service and more than likely reliving the trauma he alleged when he suddenly felt a horrible chill all around him. And then, out of nowhere, water began dripping from the ceiling.
Not water!
Now, when we first moved into Acadia here, the tub was cracked, but we didn't know it. So when someone, me, stood in the shower, water dripped down to the living room ceiling. Huge pain in the ass. But I'm happy to say that I, half-ass painted over the water stain, but you can still totally see it. And the tub has still not been fixed.
In the main bathroom? When did this happen?
This would have been 2012.
Wait a minute. You've had a cracked bathtub for 8 years? I mean, what do you do instead?
We have tomato soup cans filled with water that we wash with. No. We just use the guest bathroom because whatever the tub is, it's this weird granny tub with a weird step in it, and it's not the kind of thing you can just fix. Like, we had some people come and look, and they're all like, that tub ain't the regular size of bathtubs. I have considered Flex Seal.
Well, that's a lot of damage.
The Flex Seal, family of products. Anyway. That's on the list of things to fix. So now that I have a job, maybe I can get fixing them. I don't know. My point was that the whole point of telling that story is that my drip was just one drip. But in the Kiefer apartment, it was dripping from everywhere. It was like it was raining inside the house. The Kiefers had no explanation for it, and apparently there was no tub above them to break.
What?
Yep. They called their landlord, Ron Van Wy.
No. Not Ron Van Wy.
Yeah, Ron Van Wy.
Oh, I thought you said Ron Van Who. I'm sorry.
No. And believe it or not, Ron Van Wy is not the best name in this episode, so get ready. They told him he had to get down there right away. Van Wy did, and he was floored by what he witnessed. He said...
All right. We decided maybe it was the plumbing, but there was no pipes in the front end of the house to leak. There was basically nothing that the water could have come from. After watching it for a while, I discovered that it wasn't only coming from the ceiling down. It could come from the wall over or from the floor up. There was no basic direction that it was coming from. It could come from anywhere.
Now, I kind of feel badly about that quote because even though it's all about water, it never says the word water, which is how you can tell a Pennsylvania accent because they say wooder instead of water, which is how normal people talk.
And I know you did not just use yourself as an example of people talking normally, did you?
Well, we can't go by you. You don't even use the same words. You probably call water sky milk or some shit like that.
Listen, you never mind that now. The point is that you're saying the landlord saw sky milk coming out of the floor and the walls.
Yes.
Now,
apparently,
just mind your business.
Mind your business. Apparently, there was no rhyme or reason to it except that it was restricted to the living room they were in. Why they all continued to stand in the fucking room where it was raining, I don't know, but let's just say that they were super inquisitive. Any way you slice it, the landlord called his wife, the fabulously named Romaine Van Wy, and the cops. And here comes Officer John Bojan, who it seems ended up being the chief of the Stroudsburg police.
Oh, good for him.
Yep. He checked things out and then called another cop, Patrolman Richard Walbert, and essentially dared him to go into the apartment. I'm not sure what kind of cop you need to be to dare someone to go into a house with no more info being offered, but Bojan did it. And for his part, Walbert said,
at this point, he was telling me, I just want you to walk into the house. I said, I'm not walking into the house unless you explain to me what I'm walking into. He says, trust me, just walk into the house. I walked in the door and he came in right behind me. And I couldn't get 2 steps inside the door and I was absolutely pelted. We were standing just inside the front door and met this droplet of water traveling horizontally. It passed between us and just traveled out into the next room. All right, now that's some shit right there, folks. Like, the cops are backing up the landlord. Are we going to call this credible?
I mean, the cops
really
swear to it.
Wow.
And these aren't the Jennings police? Or
oh, well, no.
Some of the other guys we've come across.
It is a small town. It is a small town. Oh, a murdered girl passed right between us horizontally. That we murdered. No. Yeah. I mean, I guess we have to think about whether we're going to trust the cop's word for it, because this isn't like hearsay or anything like that. Like, that's a direct quote from the cop.
Yeah. But I guess I guess it comes down to, like, do you believe the word of a policeman or police officer more than you believe anybody else's word?
Right.
Or less.
Wow. Right.
Or less. It could be less, but is there any reason?
I mean, if the question,
for you to go either way.
I mean, if the question was, did that guy have a gun and were you afraid for your life? Then the cop is lying basically every time. But
you almost made me do a spit take.
If it's just this kind of shit, then it makes me feel like they do have more credibility. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So The cops leave to go to report the incident to the chief of police, and the Kiefers and Don go across the street to a pizza place that their friend ran because apparently their original dinner got wrecked by the whole Satan scratched me incident.
Oh.
The Van Wys stayed in their rainy property, but as soon as the other three people left, the water stopped. Just boom, no more rain.
What?
In no part of the story at any point was anyone voicing concern over the stuff that was actually getting wet. So that makes me think that it must not have been that bad. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about, like, one of the good rooms in your house, if it started literally raining in it, wouldn't there be some shit, like, you're worried about, like your books?
Yeah.
So it'd be more like misting or something like that, you
My
think?
origami!
My aunt's ashes.
Paper.
My aunt's ashes.
Oh, yeah. And I don't have a lid for. Damn it!
No.
It's mud.
Poor Annie Mudd. All right. So they went over to the pizza place, and the owner, Pam Scarfano, had been over to the house earlier in the day, and she'd seen the rain, and she was convinced that there was a demonic issue going on, and she felt like it centered around Don.
You looked at Donnie, and he was in like a trance. He would look at you, but not knowing you were there. I said to Jeannie, he's got to be possessed. We're sitting there. Hey, get it together. We're sitting there. Couple of seconds later, there's water all over the pizzeria, too. I've never seen anything like that happen. I went in the cash register. I had a crucifix there. I took it out. I put it on him. And the minute I put it on him, it touched his skin. He got burned. There's no way that anybody could have played a joke like that. This was real. Donnie was doing it himself. He was doing it without realizing he was doing it.
She had a crucifix in the cash register. Was she worried about vampire stick-ups?
No. It was
Pammy, the cashier girl.
Yeah. No, it was pagan bill collectors.
Hey, it was in case someone possessed came into my pizza place, and guess who had the last laugh? Me. Because it came in super handy, so you can all suck it.
All right.
I guess if it comes in handy once, it's worth it, right?
That's right. It's like one of those when people go, you never know, and like you can't say anything about it because technically they're right.
Right.
I'm glad she never got the crucifix out while she was trying to give change. Like, oops, sorry, I meant to give you a quarter there.
I know I owe you $14.50, but do you want to know who died for our sins?
Yeah, here. Can I offer you this pamphlet?
So, Pam did indeed get precipitation in her pizzeria, and witnesses attest to her burning the young skid with a crucifix. Needless to say, that put a damper on their second dinner, so the sad trio left the restaurant and went back across the street to their place. By this time, Romaine Van Wy had worked it up in her head that this was all Donnie's doing, so when they got back, she let him have it. She accused him of causing the rain on purpose. Not sure what the end game would be for that strategy, but she said it nonetheless. She and Mrs. Kiefer confronted Don in the kitchen of the apartment when the stakes get raised again.
Uh-oh.
According to Don, the pots and pans over the stove started rattling. That's when I got levitated off the floor. I was just like floating. Then it was like a push. It wasn't like somebody taking their hand and pushing me. It was like feeling it all over your body at once. I'm a big guy, you know. I've always been assertive, and that made me feel like a newborn. You know, I'm scared right now just talking about it, really. So now, we need to add levitation to the list of happenings. We also have to make fun of Don for calling himself a big guy.
Aww.
That is only acceptable to do if you're too fat to fit in the shirt someone's trying to get you to wear. Fucking skid. I'm a big guy, so I'm sorry I can't wear your promotional item. Hey there, it's Acadia here, and my partner, Hannah Selector, is going to tell us a little bit about the show we do together.
Do you like horror movies, Stephen King, ranting and raving? Join us for a meeting of the Castle Rock Historical Society. Tuesdays, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, Mells.
Hey, Jasmine.
You want to tell these lovely people about our show?
Well, I sure do. We're the hosts of the Damn Fine TV podcast.
A weekly show where two TV-loving ladies,
That's us,
bring you fresh insights and fun conversations about all things TV.
The name of our show is a reference to Twin Peaks.
Damn fine coffee.
But we discuss a wide variety of shows. Everything from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina to American Horror Story.
Westworld, Umbrella Academy, Lovecraft Country, and tons more.
And now for the obligatory clip segment of the ad.
What even are the tardigrade mysteries?
I need a timeline!
That's getting a trash flag.
Who is in you?
Confused? Better subscribe and listen to the show.
We've got new episodes every Wednesday.
Just search Damn Fine TV wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll be there.
And come hang out with us on Instagram at Damn Fine TV. We share TV news, celebrities that make us thirsty, and have fun polls.
And if you're watching TV,
make sure it's Damn Fine TV.
At any rate, now we have Dawn floating in the air and getting pushed around the kitchen. So what do you think of this new development?
What the
I mean, I think you start out with water and then you're just standing in front of people and then you lift up in the air and get pushed across the room.
Yeah.
After those people just got done yelling at you for doing shit like that? I mean,
think he was possessed.
I guess I can't argue with you.
Because he got burned by the crucifix, too.
That's true. He's having a bad night.
Yeah, he is.
He's having a really bad night.
What do you think, Shooey? Bullshit or not?
I can't explain any of this shit. You know, the fact that there's a witness to the burning with the crucifix, the fact that, like I said, those women were blaming him for doing it. Then all of a sudden he just started floating and flies across. Like, this is just fucked up shit.
That's right. So now, a few hours after that.
Now he didn't have a magic carpet or anything, did he?
Nope.
Oh, did he? Because that changes everything. If he did,
no, he was in the kitchen. No one has a rug in their kitchen unless it's that kind that's soft in front of the sink.
Yeah,
well, you got to have the one in front of the sink.
And in front of the stove if you cook a lot.
Yeah, anywhere you're going to be standing. You son of a bitch.
You uncultured swine.
What are you, the princess in the pea? You have to have a soft rug to stand on?
Don't you care about Mells' arch fitness?
I have very flat feet, so I need all the support I can get.
Jesus Christ. Those fucking pontoons slapping around the kitchen
They
while you
are.
bake a pie.
Yeah. You've seen them.
I can see him from here, and you're in Nevada.
Exactly. And everyone, I have a picture of me with my bare feet with Acadia, and he is not happy.
No, not at all. That was what triggered me to start making it rain inside the house.
Exactly.
So, a few hours after that, honestly, they must be exhausted because there's no mention of anyone ever going to bed. But they had to have at some point. Anyway, officers Bojan and Wolbert brought the chief back to the apartment. Now, we get back to the kinds of cops we are used to in our stories now. Incompetent ones. Because according to Bojan...
When the chief got to the house, he was pelted with water just like Rich and I were. I got the impression that he was put on the spot, maybe a little bit embarrassed, like we expected something out of him that he could answer. There was no way to explain what happened. I think he was put in a position where he might have felt a little uncomfortable.
Why would they go get the chief? Like if it was a fire, you don't go get the fire chief. Like, oh shit, let's not put this out. Let's go get this thing fucked up.
This really is an Andy Griffith episode right here.
Right?
Well, come on, Barney.
Yeah.
The chief declared that it was a plumbing issue, despite the fact that Van Wy had already told everyone there were no pipes in the front of the house. That's the sort of thing it seems like a landlord would know. Like, I have no fucking idea where my pipes are. I guess I'll find them if I try to hang a picture. Like, that's the only way I'm going to know. Anyway, the chief shut the whole thing down and ordered Wolbert and Bojan to not even file reports on what they had seen. Bojan didn't like that one bit.
Well, he just flat out denied it. It didn't happen. And he tried to convince me that nothing happened. And he wasn't going to do that. I saw it. And that's all there is to it.
Well, good for Officer Bojangles. I mean, I feel like the chief is in cahoots with the demon. I mean,
This is like Buffy.
Yes. What sort of motivation did he have to shut down a case of this magnitude unless he was working for Prince of Hell, the Prince of Darkness?
Probably just lazy and didn't want to deal with all the paperwork that a demon rainstorm would cause. Easier for him to just bust people. Easier for him to just bust people speeding through town with a trunk full of coke. Demons are not on his agenda. That's demon privilege. Demon privilege!
Demon privilege. And that sounds plausible. But I'm not going to put the demon partnership to bed just yet because it might come up later. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
You never know. It might. So the next day, Bojan and Wolbert did the exact opposite of what the chief told them to do. And they went right back to the Kiefer's apartment to do some experiments. And they brought a couple other cops with them who got right into the spirit of things. According to Officer Bill Davies,
we were standing there and I gave Mr. Decker this gold cross to hold. Next thing he says, it's burning my hand. There's no explanation for it. When you picked it up, when you grabbed it, it's not hot, but it's hot. And I held on to it. He totally could have faked that.
Well, according to the unsolved mysteries that I used for some of the research.
Wait a minute. Whoa. First of all, is Unsolved Mysteries where you get all your topics from?
You tell him.
No.
And second of all, where is Robert Stack? If you're going to do Unsolved Mysteries, you're not even doing Robert Stack?
He's not here today. No, I didn't get this topic from the show, but I was pretty psyched when I found out there was an episode about it. So I found out the topic, and then when I was looking for it, they all started talking about the Unsolved Mysteries episode. So that does make the research easier. The only topic I ever took because of Unsolved Mysteries was Judy Himes, and that's just because it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I still think he could have faked being burned with the cross.
Well, then you'd have to impugn the testimony of Officer Bill Davies.
Oh, I will impugn it. I will impugn it all night long.
Well, you know what? Like, I just like how the cops are like performing all these experiments. Like, they are from like. Okay, get this. Like, they're the mom from Poltergeist putting the helmet on Carol Ann and watching her slide across the kitchen floor. Like, that's some grade A investigating right there. So, like, what happened next?
Well, I just saw Poltergeist because all of the horror movies are on at Halloween, and I had forgotten all about that scene, and I'm glad you brought it up. Because they literally just put her on the little First they did it with a chair, and the chair would fly across the room, and then they just said, oh, well, let's do it with our kid. So this is what happened next, Mel. Dawn levitated and got thrown across the room again, this time right in front of the cops.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. Lieutenant Don Rundle said, all of a sudden he lifted up off the ground and he flew across the room with a force as though a bus had hit him. There were 3 claw marks on the side of his neck, which drew blood. I have no answer for it whatsoever. And I just draw a blank, even today. And I'm going to have Shooey read what Officer Davies said since he was impugning him so much.
I've been a cop for 40 years and I've never seen anything like this. Never. There's always an explanation when something happens. If you gotta investigate, you come up with something. This is why it happened. For this case, there was no explanation.
So, here the ante gets upped again. And this time the cops see Don get levitated, launched, and lacerated.
God.
You're still going to tell me this is not one of the best documented cases we've ever had?
All right. Again, it all comes down to trusting the cops. But I don't understand. All right. So obviously I don't think this guy's doing it. I think this is being done to him.
Right.
Right.
That's
like
fair.
Bad things are happening to him.
Poor Donnie.
So I don't know if it's the house. Is it like a poltergeist situation? You know, that kind of thing.
Well,
or is it like The Exorcist?
Right.
I mean, if you think about the number of witnesses, there's the 2 Kiefers, there's the 2 Van Wys, there's 4 cops, and the chief said nothing happened.
Don't forget the chief.
Yeah, but the chief said nothing happened, even though we witnessed it. But that's 8. 8 people all sticking to the same story?
It was the chief. I just put my Scooby-Doo mystery gang hat on.
Yeah. In cahoots with Beelzebub.
He was he was the Al Pacino. What was that movie with Keanu Reeves? Oh man.
Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is actually this was all done by Brian Brown and Kenny Baker. Brian Brown's character from FX.
Stupid. FX. Movie so good they made a whole network after it.
And a sequel.
That's true. Oh,
it had a sequel.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on. This is weird shit, though.
It is weird. It's kind of giving me the creeps.
Well, Ron Van Wy, who seems to have taken more than a landlordly interest in the case, called around the town and tried to get a priest or minister, but he got shut down by all the big-name churches. None of them wanted anything to do with it.
All the big names. The Catholic Church is out. The Methodist out. Baptist out.
Presbyterians done.
But he finally found an evangelical preacher who was willing to give exorcism a whirl.
There you go.
She started praying over Don, who went into convulsions and curled up into a ball. But she kept at it, and over time he started to relax, and the rain in the room stopped. He had been cured. And that was pretty good luck for him, because the next morning, right after he'd been cleansed of the rain demon, he had to go back to jail.
Damn.
Yep.
And you got to report back for your jail sentence.
Yep. Yeah. So after you've been in
your time out,
making it rain, being possessed by a demon,
making it rain,
the usual
regular stuff.
Pretending I was sad that my evil grandfather died while everyone else talked about what a great guy he was. There's no stress. I'm fine. Actually, can I go back into jail? So after he'd been in the jail for a bit, the rain came back. His cellmate demanded to be moved because he was getting wet, which I presume prevented him from raping Don. Remember, folks, jails are terrible. Anyway, Don started to think that he could control the rain, which is exactly what Romaine Van Wy had accused him of. He even mentioned it to a guard who called him out, said if Don could make it rain in the warden's office.
Well, why didn't he make it rain right where he was? So it was just raining over the guy.
Oh, like sad Charlie Brown.
Not what I was thinking, but yeah, like sad Charlie Brown.
Yes, just walking around with just a rain cloud over you.
Oh,
exactly.
Little squiggles.
Oh, Charlie Brown.
No.
That does suck. Poor guy.
I know.
I remember one where they were like, do you get any secret wishes, Charlie Brown? He's like, I always wish I had a cool nickname like Flash. Like, there goes Flash Brown. And then they all just laughed at him.
Oh, poor Charlie Brown.
Just laughed at him.
He just got shit on left and right.
I got no answer for you whatsoever on why he said make it rain in the warden's office. But I will tell you that there used to be 1 million deer that would come to the back of the house in Stroudsburg because Mrs. Ack would feed them. They would swarm the whole backyard. That doesn't have anything to do with anything, but it is a fond Stroudsburg memory, and I don't know why I just thought of it.
No,
but they really were. They would
these.
No. Thank you.
No,
They would
thank
bang
you.
their noses against the window to like get her to come out and feed him.
Like, hello, it's dinner time.
Yep. One time there was a bear, and she's like, "I want to go out seeing." You're not going out to see the bear
No, not
because
the
it was
bear.
a baby bear. Yeah, that was just the wilderness. So, in our story, Don made it rain not only inside the warden's office, but inside the warden's shirt. And don't ask me any fucking follow-ups on that either. It made no sense to me. But apparently Don made the warden's sternum wet.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. What? The way they described it, the warden was like, "Oh, my shirt was just hanging down." And then when the guy came in and said, "Oh, it's raining in here," my shirt was all wet. Like, I don't... No one sits somewhere and says, "Oh, my shirt was just hanging down." Like,
Exactly.
You don't think about your shirt.
My sternum is soaking wet.
My wet sternum. So,
My sternum, it's been exposed.
This moist sternum did not sit well with the warden or the rest of the guards because they called in prison chaplain Reverend William Blackburn. And Blackburn came to the jail and met with Don and basically told Don that he was full of shit and making everything up. Apparently, Reverend Blackburn was not prone to fucking around. Don was like, "Yeah, huh, I can make it rain." Stupid minister. And then Blackburn said,
All of a sudden, his demeanor changed, and this smell came into the room. Nurses and doctors, medical people say when you walk into a room where someone is dying with a cancer or something, usually there's a smell. You can tell when you walk in the room. I smelled a smell like that multiplied 5 times at least. Evil, foreboding. He raised his hand and rubbed his fingers together, and all of a sudden it started to rain. It was like the devil's rain. It was a mist. I was in the presence of evil. I opened up the Bible and started to read to him, but the pages never got wet. So help me, it was a frightening thing. I think I was praying more for me than him. I prayed, and it was the only brief period, and the rain stopped. So, So the praying cured him?
"Yeah."
Wait a
What?
second. Wait a second. If it's first of all, what is evil rain? Okay.
Evil
What is the devil's rain?
Evil rain.
Okay? And if the rain is evil, why isn't it getting the Bible wet?
Because
the Bible is God's
Fights back.
word. Fights the
The
evil.
Bible's fighting the evil water.
Yes.
yeah, duh.
Oh. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's the least believable part of this story. Yes, that's what you got to pick on.
Shooey's like,
Don't believe the
I've been
minister.
thinking it
Believe
every little-
everybody else. I don't know where he was going with that smell thing. No one else said Don smelled. Like,
oh.
Don lit it up lit up a room.
He lit up a room. You can smell him coming a mile away.
They had a lot of garlic at dinner.
Oh.
All right. According to Don, he felt like the whole rain thing and the being thrown around and scratched was his grandfather coming back from the grave to abuse him some more.
Oh.
But apparently Reverend Blackburn scared the old fucker away because nothing ever happened to Don again. Well, not demon-wise anyway. There is, though, a skeptic who says he can explain it all away. This is also from the Pocono Record, and I'm just going to read it and we can discuss it after. Bartholomew repeatedly questions why the events weren't recorded if they were as dramatic as portrayed in witness accounts. Why not phone the local TV station to record this event? All we are left with is eyewitness accounts from excited observers with a worldview that includes the reality of the devil, Bartholomew writes in his article. He believes stress and even the weather could have played a role in the bizarre events. Human perception is notoriously unreliable, even under ideal conditions. Stress can alter perceptions, and it is difficult to imagine few events more stressful than believing you are in the presence of a man who is possessed by demonic forces, Bartholomew writes. At the time of the events, Decker was under extreme stress, serving time in jail and experiencing the death of a relative who had been fingering him. Wow. I added that last part just to add to the stress.
Disgusting.
While so-called trance states may be triggered by stress and do not necessarily denote mental illness or disorder, they are also easily faked. It is remarkable Decker did not receive medical attention. Instead, attempts were made to exorcise him, the article said. As for the rain, a report by the Manufactured Housing Research Alliance says Pennsylvania is at moderate to high risk for winter moisture problems, with one of the most severe events being ice damming. This is caused by warm air entering an attic that melts snow on the outer surface of a roof, resulting in an accumulation of ice under which pools of water form and leak.
And then go sideways.
Yeah, horizontal.
This guy is a terrible skeptic. Like, you've got to say why the other thing didn't, like, I don't know why skeptics think they can just say, oh, well, no, I'm a skeptic because I say it was all made up. Well, do you have any proof that it was made up? Well,
nope.
They could have made it up. Well, yes, technically, yes, they could have made it up. But that's not, like, poking a hole in it.
Dude,
saying...
That's how Fox News built its whole thing. Like, it would just say something, put a question mark at the end of it, and create a headline. Like,
well, that's true.
Like Barack Obama, a communist? Question mark.
That's kind of clever. We should just put more question marks in our show titles.
Exactly.
That's
Donnie
good thinking.
D on the backup.
Donnie D. Drug free, so put the crack up.
Question mark.
Oh, that makes me happy. Oh shit! I don't know. I just think that I wanted to put the skeptic thing in there because there's always going to be another side to the story. But all he's just basically saying is, nah, they're all lying. They're all stupid idiots. Like, well, but he doesn't address.
It does suck that they didn't think to record it or anything. Like,
yeah, but it was 1983. It's not like they could whip out their phone.
No, but they can whip out a video camera.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would be easy, but they could have called the kid from the Goldbergs or something.
It was 1980 something, and a skid from the Poconos was possessed by a devil,
making it rain inside his house. This remind me of a scene from some random movie.
Yes. And also, I mistreated my brother, and at some point he went, thanks a lot.
And then there's music playing in the background while I bow my head in shame.
And then at some point somebody went, what is happening? Oh, that show's pretty good. All right.
It's great.
In a sad coda to the story.
Oh, I hate sad codas.
This is from WNEP.com. Toby Hanna. Man accused of setting fire to a restaurant in the Poconos turned himself in at federal court in Wilkes-Barre on Friday. This is the same man who back in the late 1980s starred in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries because of claims he could make it rain, and to this day that case is still a mystery to police in Stroudsburg. Now he's getting attention again, but this time he's facing federal arson charges for setting Dana's Restaurant and Tavern in Toby Hanna on fire last year. Investigators said he was hired by the owner to burn down the business. So, that's the end of the sad story of the skid who made it rain. So, what do you think?
So then he set fire to a restaurant?
Well, that was many years later because apparently he wasn't... I don't think you can live off Unsolved Mysteries money for 40 years.
Well, I just want to know why would you hire a guy known for making it rain to set a fire?
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh my God.
Don't worry about it. I'll set your fire real good.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And then I'll put it out for you. Don't worry about it.
I'll make sure that it's extra gross and gritty. Poor Don. He's a skid. So what do you think? Was it real?
You know what? I'm going to give Donnie D the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say it was real. I'm going to say he was possessed.
That's fair. Too many witnesses.
I'm going to say that it's real, but he was haunted.
Ooh.
He was haunted by the fingery grandfather?
Ugh, Acadia,
Yep.
stop.
Yeah, because I think if you...
The guy was abusing him. He was picking him up. He was throwing him across the room. He was doing all sorts of weird shit to him.
Yep. I don't know where the rain part came from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably would have been, like, easier to prove if it had been sand. Yeah, sand just came out of the ceiling, you know?
That's true. Something other than water where there's pipes.
I suppose.
Yeah. Well, they could have made it spell something or something like that. You know?
Don sucks.
Exactly.
Oh, poor Don.
But it's S-U-X.
Yes, it's gotta be.
Well, I suppose if you want to tell us what you think about the story, Shooey's going to tell you all the ways that you can get a hold of us.
All right. Well, my segue into this was really good last week, and that was terrible. But while I'm here, if you want to get in touch with me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Shooey Time. If you want to get Acadia on Twitter, it's at Acadia. On Instagram, it's at Acadia Einstein. If you want to get Mells on Twitter, it's at MellsBells84. And if you want to get her on Instagram, she is at Superficial Mells. The show is at StrangefulPod on Twitter.
Yeah. But I mean, basically, all together, you're going to want to only reach out to me because the rest of them don't do anything except Mells on Instagram. Because you can find Mells on Damn Fine TV, where she has a very active Instagram life. Not that I'm hurt.
Well, all right. Here's my segue. Be nice and rate and review us, and then maybe we'll get some more Instagram content. No, seriously.
All I know is you go on video dressed as Daenerys for your other show, and you won't even do anything with video on this show.
That's not true. I've never been asked. So there. I can make it rain too. You just never asked me to do it. So
it's a podcast.
Boo boo on you.
Well, we do have a YouTube channel, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I did watch you guys for a little while.
And I did do a lot of videos on the YouTube channel for Superficial Gallery.
That's right. We used to have a show. Back when American Horror Story was a thing. Sad. Anyway, if you want to support us like with actual money, you can go to patreon.com/strangeful, and then you'll get extra bonus content like Mel's videos. Yeah. And just see what I just threw in there?
I like it.
Now we'll have to do a video.
Okay.
We'll make a video of it raining in Mel's studio and her getting thrown around the room with scratches on her neck.
There you go.
Just make sure you've got Mr. Bojangles in here videoing it.
Officer Bojangles to you.
Oh, excuse me, officer. Put some respect on that.
That's Lieutenant Bojangles.
Well, count your blessings.
Keep on flapping.
Hate you. Bye-bye.